are making a huge push for change in this sector, but are still not showing impressive numbers. So less than 25% of their employees are women in 2020. So we are lucky to have 5 brilliant women in tech here sharing their knowledge with us. And let's start this panel discussion because one of the major goals of this panel discussion is to inspire more women to work in tech. And I would like to tell you that people can put their questions in the chat, and we will leave the questions to be answered in the last section of the talk for the Q&A. So first question, I would like to ask Margarida, what made you choose a tech career?
Hey, so I think I cannot trace back like a moment where I chose to be a tech professional. But growing up, my parents, my father is an architect, my mother is a civil engineer. So I always found their work very enjoyable, the way that they worked in projects. They use a lot of creative thinking, kind of planning to build a solution that met certain requirements and then following up all the way through implementation. I found that very satisfying in a way. Then I remember when I was about 11 years old, something like that, I had a project in school where we had to build a lamp, and I was thrilled with it. Like, I loved every bit of it, designing it, building the electric circuit. It was very satisfying for me. Yeah, and then I I studied aerospace engineering because at the time I thought that rockets and airplanes were very cool, and there was the first time that I had contact with software, with programming languages, and all of that, and I fell in love with it really. So at the moment I'm a software engineer. Most of my day I write code. I love it. Not only I love like the problem solving part of it more than anything else, but in the software industry, I really love that it's easy to build and prototype new solutions, easy to iterate fast, and it's often very easy also to reach potential users, and it's also very transversal in terms of skills and domains where you can apply it. So at the moment, those are like the main things that attract me to tech.
Okay, Margarida, great answer. I would you come from a very technical background and studies, and you have applied that to software engineering. But I would also like to complement that with Wendy's perspective, that she also worked directly with product management and more of in a management area in IT. So I would like to hear that from you, Wendy. What made you choose the tech career?
Yeah, actually, I will put this question like it's not I choose technology company, but technology company choose me.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, at the beginning, when I graduated from my university, I got bachelor degree in computer science and also master degree in mathematics. So it's quite fit to me to apply for some programming position. But I didn't so interested into such kind of position. So at that time, my first target is to apply for management consulting firm. So I got my first job in consulting firm as a management consultant. So what my job every day is do a lot of PPT, as you know, a lot of presentation and do some documentation. But very interesting point is I have a very good opportunity to join automotive industry. That's the first bridge for me to have the chance to see the evolution of this industry. You know, nowadays automotive industry changed a lot from very traditional way to very digitalization way. Mm-hmm. So after working in consulting firm around 4 years, I joined the Daimler RD network. So actually my first position in Daimler is a little bit similar to consulting firm. It is also do some strategy things, do some connectivity, autonomous driving planning in Daimler. But later on, I got a very good chance to internal transfer to Daimler Great China Digital Hub. Actually, Digital Hub is a new department. It consists of a lot of in-house development engineers. So it is the first time for me to work really close to tech people. To be honest, be the product manager working with tech groups is not an easy thing. Because if I always approaching them, do you think this product makes sense? They say, oh, it cannot be achieved. Technical feasibility block. I always receive such kind of like complaint. Later on, I know I need to change another language when talking and discussion with them, and it takes a little bit of time to bring me together with technical mindset. So this is a little bit short story from me. I would say I really like to work with tech people. They are more equality, more efficient, and more directly. So I think I'm so proud to be involved into such kind of tech team. And also nowadays in Huawei, I also need to deal with two different people. One is from business side, and another side I need to deal with a lot of engineering and developers in headquarters in Shenzhen. So it's really good balance for me from the strength view and also try to understand technology language. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So we have here two perspectives. One perspective that is more on the technical route, and one is more on the management route. With this, it's also a good complement that if you are thinking about choosing a career in tech, it's also nice to have these two areas where you can develop yourself into. But it's also interesting that we have people here that didn't start by studying in the tech field in the first place. So we have here Lena and Shannon. So I would like to ask Lena, what made you decide to shift careers into the tech scene?
Okay, so I grew up in a medical family, sort of, and I was meant to be a doctor as well. But I discovered that in technology, we can contribute to different areas. We don't need to attach ourselves to only one purpose. It's really cool to be able to contribute to the sustainability, to medical devices, to different type of technology, and even deliver a lot of value to it. And another thing that I like a lot is the fact that we have a very fast-paced area. Technology, it's changing quite fast, and we have a huge possibilities, and we can deliver, like, as soon as we believe in the idea, we can deliver whatever. And I think that people like Elon Musk, they are like the living proof of that. And the fact that we can, I don't know, find the information really easily, and we have access in the internet to tons of books, to different presentations, to YouTube channels about technology. So it's really up to us. It's in our hands just to how far we can reach.
So in terms of what made you the shift was
the fact that it's fast-paced,
exactly.
that I can choose the different areas to contribute, and the fact that I can finally easily find the information that I want to.
Okay, great. What about you, Shannon?
I feel like more and more everything is tech, any company these days. So I think I've always been interested in tech, but I guess my official move into tech was when I've also been interested in entrepreneurship and wanting to have my own company and startup. And so I was working in a startup accelerator, and then I joined two friends in a very early stage software as a service startup. And I was going to do the marketing and business development, which is really still what I do now today. But the product wasn't really moving, and I didn't understand what they were working on. I didn't understand what was the holdup and why the product wasn't being developed in time. I just wanted to know. And so I told them I wanted to learn how to code. And they were like, you don't need to learn how to code. Why would you want to learn how to code? The developers. And, I frankly thought I wouldn't enjoy it that much. I just wanted to understand. And at the time, there was only Academia de Código. And it's been working with unemployed only unemployed professionals, and it was in Portuguese. And Catarina Campino, who still is, one of the leads over there at the Academia de Código, she was great, and she came and spoke to the founders of one of our acceleration programs, and I was really inspired by her, and I thought, well, I couldn't do Academia de Código, so I eventually found Le Wagon, and I asked, and frankly, I couldn't afford the tuition at the time, so I thought, okay, well, I'll just start it and get to do it. So it was a little bit backwards. I would say, though, learning how to code, which maybe that was like my official really working in tech, it was a surprise because I went into the boot camp thinking I wasn't going to like it. I just thought I'll just get through with it and have some deeper understanding, and I loved it. I mean, I wasn't the top of my class. I really struggled in the beginning. I don't have a math background. For the developers out there, I couldn't figure out what a variable was for like a week. That really holds you back in coding. But then it all started clicking, right? And the whole problem solving thing, I felt like I was solving puzzles all day long. Like I just felt like I was working on one big Sudoku, so I really loved it, to the point where I was even like, do I want to still live at home? Maybe I just want to be a developer, but anyway, I went on to co-found and manage Le Wagon here in Portugal, and it's been an excellent experience. I don't code that much anymore I don't code at all, but yeah, I will say, like, working specifically helping people transition into tech, it's really rewarding to see like the surprise, even on students' faces that sign up to invest their time and money in this. So like, oh wait, this is more fun than I expected. Yeah. Especially, I think as women, we also, I don't know, at least I do, I'll generalize based on my experience, just some preconceived ideas about whether, coding is for women, which
exactly
is BS.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, totally agree. So picking up on exactly what you girls have been saying, from your perspective, Inês, and from the work that you've been doing with Portuguese Women in Tech, are these the drivers that you see as well?
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned our report in the very beginning, the Pioneers report. And when asked like why women join, why they decide to go into a tech university and then go pursue a career in tech, what they say is like because they had someone, a lot of times because they have someone, a cousin, an older brother or sister, someone that inspired them to pursue a career in technology. And I think some of you also mentioned here, like, I think there are so many things that you can do in technology, and I think we have a very narrow mind about like what a software developer actually does. And I think and that's part of actually the work that we do at Portuguese Women in Tech, is also try to show that there are these women that are working technology. There are a lot of different things that you can do in technology, and we try to show this to younger girls that are still not sure exactly what they should do next, or because of like a lot of ideas or preconceived ideas about what a woman should do, they decided to go into like some health area or some other area. But maybe technology can actually be for them, and I think there's a big shift that needs to be done. Things are not actually improving, even though I think a lot of us have this hope that things will improve, but things are not necessarily improving. You mentioned in the beginning, only 12% of the women, of the students in technology in Portugal are women, 12%. Yes. And this number is very much the same for the past 10 years. And so we need to actually make a difference. And what we see is that role models actually have a big impact in the reason why women go to technology.
Yes, for sure. So basically, and we are going to address that later on, the power of role models, because in everything we do, I think they play a major role in our lives and our decisions. But I want to explore this further in the career shifting, because the career shifting area is very, very interesting, especially to contradict the biases that some of us might have around technology. So to explore this further with Lina, when you decided to shift careers, was it easy to you to find the trainings that you needed, because you were saying that internet has everything available? And if so, what trainings would you recommend for someone deciding now to shift careers? Because just let people know a little bit about your background and how how was this shift for you, right? Because the audience doesn't know.
Yeah, so for those that who doesn't know, I've studied pathological anatomy, so it has nothing to do with computer science. And when I was finishing my degree, I started to imagine myself working on a daily basis on that, and I thought that I will be bored quite soon, like quite fast. I need a more dynamic environment, and that's when some of my friends and my boyfriend back then, they suggested me just to try something. And I do remember that I found a Java book and I started, without anybody knowing, I started just to do some exercise, how it goes. And same as Shannon, I was thrilled with that. I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave the book. I just wanted to keep going. And I think that it was really easy to find information because you have like Coursera, you have Udemy online platforms for learning, which have a lot of things that you might use. It's also very easy to find different books in order, and they arrive quite fast. You have a lot of open source tools. You have even for testing. I had the Test Automation Academy, which is for free, and we can learn a lot of cool things. We have a lot of ebooks as well, so it was very, very easy. And apart from that, I have to say that what is really, really cool is that people are eager to share their knowledge. So if you approach somebody and you try to ask and ask like specifically, please tell me like I'm 5, they will do the effort and they will try to teach you. So that's also really, really cool. It's something that a peer can teach you.
Yeah. That's definitely a good approach, because people who are afraid to ask questions, they will never learn, right? Imagine young kids, they are not afraid to ask questions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So talking exactly about role models, then maybe talking about the lack of them. Margarida, growing up, did you feel represented by female role models that inspired you in tech, or how was that perception for you?
I don't think that growing up I was looking for specific role models in tech. So I can't really recall if I had role models in tech, but I definitely had female role models that had very successful careers, either in technology or entrepreneurs. And I think that for me got me to the point that I never considered my gender as a variable in the decision of what I wanted to do as a career. And then, like in the beginning of my career, being in a sector that is dominated by men, I had a lot of men role models, and they were perfectly fine for me. So, what I want to get, I think, is that I think female role models are very important to break like the cultural bias that women are not made for tech, and not only for tech, but for any kind of qualified career. But then, in like for myself during my career, I think male role models can be as effective as female role models.
Yes, and I actually agree with you. Role models are very important. If you have the ones that are aligning with you and they are opening doors, right? If you find people that don't allow you to or don't allow you to understand that you can achieve whatever you set yourself to achieve, then you will be limited, right?
For sure, yeah.
So, do anyone else want to comment on this?
Actually,
Wendy, go for it.
Okay, maybe we have the same role model. Actually, I have a role model quite famous. She's COO in Facebook, Gary Sandberg. Yeah, I think she really changed a lot of mindset when I starting my career. So her first book, if I remember correct, is 7 years ago. It's exactly the time that I entered in the career. That time I read the book Lean In. And also very interesting thing is after reading the book, I also joined the Lean In Shanghai community. I think this is a quite nice community, just like our today, this women tech community. Women really need to join in a community to find something in common and also to try to build up our network. If we can have some network, we can seek for help to share our opinion and also to find the opportunities, especially in technology companies. So this is a really, I would say, precious asset for me when I joined in Lean community. So I would say Sherry Sandberg is my role model during my career, not only in technical, but also in the all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Great. Maybe we can also leave some references in the chat for other people to look deeper into those if they want to. Okay, so I was also wanting to explore, because from a talent acquisition recruiter's perspective, and as also Inês said in the part where women are not applying to universities as in bigger numbers, so it's hard to get female candidates to fill my pipeline. So I want to understand how can we increase those numbers, right? I think this is a common effort that we might have here. So what do you think is missing in schools to motivate more girls to be interested in this tech scene? I would like to start with Inês for this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think we have to look at long-term solutions and not short-term ones. I think there's nothing that we can do today that will solve the problem for you that wants to recruit for next year or whatever. So we need to, and something that we are trying to do also is taking these role models that we were mentioning to schools to show that women can work in technology and are working in technology in different roles. Also, explain better what actually those roles means. Because if you look at TV, and I think we sometimes underestimate how much we are influenced by culture around us. And if you look at TV, movies, whatever, you see that most people that are software developers in TV or on TV are actually men. And they all have this very similar look. So hoodies and late nights coding sessions and all these things that apply or that are appealing to some men, are appealing to some women, but are not appealing necessarily to everyone. And I think all of us know that this is not necessarily the reality. I think this might be the reality for some people, but it's definitely not reality for everyone. So I think we need to do a better job at showing girls and even also boys what actually means to work in technology, show these role models, because sometimes we are we feel very privileged because we come from cities or regions where it's easier for us to access these kind of role models. But whenever I go to the countryside and specific regions around the country, we see that if I ask who knows a woman working technology, more often than not, no one does. And so this is the kind of things that we can do, and there are, for example, a great initiative from that's called Engenheiros por Dia, so engineers for a day, where it happens. I think the next session is about to happen, where they go to engineers, women go to school to show and to explain what their job is, and so we need more of this. This is not something that will change things in the short term, but will have a big impact in the medium to long term.
Yes, for sure. What about you, Yes, I was going to ask.
So I definitely agree with everything Inês said. I just have one comment, and maybe it's on shorter term solutions on our current generation, and even my generation, which is women in their 30s. I know the Portuguese government, there's an issue right now because, Portugal really sold this whole digital boom, and there's not enough tech talent to fill that digital boom, and so they're saying, and a lot of the tech talent, and frankly, we even tell our graduates this, they leave when they hit mid to senior level developer, they get jobs abroad because the pay is a lot better, and they move out of Portugal. And those are mostly men. And so I really feel that there is an opportunity here, and I think this is where my sales plug-in goes. But for companies like, Daimler to be, and to sponsor boot camps, coding boot camps that are specific to women, women in their 30s, women that are looking for stability, and they're willing to maybe not make as much money, but stay in Portugal when they reach that mid to senior level position. I think that we should be investing in even older women that have the ability to learn how to code, even in your 30s, even in your 40s. And I do think that and again, I'm generalizing a lot here, but I feel that as women, at least, I'll just speak for myself, we're a little bit more conservative when it comes to investing our time, which if you're a mom or, you just don't have a lot of it, in investing our money, especially if we're not sure what the return will be. And so I really think that there's an opportunity for companies to sponsor that investment and to give women the opportunity to see just how exciting coding really could be in development and the different careers within that. Yeah. So anyway, I've pitched this a few times to some different companies. I'll send you my deck.
I totally agree, Shannon. And if someone else is hearing Shannon, please, this is her name. Here is her card. No, but I think it makes sense. And even so shifting careers in general, not only women, but approaching diversity with different classes, like older people, not only women. So we should be looking at this subject also with different classes, like who are we willing to invest to, right? I think this is a subject for a different panel discussion that we can talk even further. I totally see this as a good panel discussion.
Another thing that I think schools could invest on is to give students more opportunities to experiment and develop projects, because I think a lot of tech work is building products, creating new solutions. And I feel that the education system in Portugal is a lot based on lecturing, and kids don't have a lot of opportunities to actually experiment. And I think it's when you experiment that you actually feel if you like it or not. So that could also help.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's also like having partnerships with companies for the hackathons and stuff like that while you are still in school. Like one day in a company where you see the work environment. That's also great initiatives that companies could work on, but really changing the school system where you have more practical approaches to the subjects, as you were saying, Margarida. Well, I would, from a different perspective, like it's not different, but it's on the same subject, and it's for you, Margarida. What things what you think are stopping women from working in tech? So, from your perspective, talking with your friends and from people that you know, what is your perspective?
I must start by saying that I never felt discriminated in any of the places that I worked in. Sometimes I felt uncomfortable because I was the only woman, sometimes like the only person under 30, and so I was with a different kind of lifestyle, but I was never discriminated. So I think that most of it is like the cultural bias that women are not made for coding, women are not made for tech, and sometimes you hear people saying when a girl decides to go for an engineering university degree, oh, that's so hard. Do you really want to do that? And I think that's all about culture. I'm not sure there's anything in the tech sector that is actually preventing women from joining. But that's my experience.
I like to
you experience something. Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think I totally agree with Margarita, and I think it's important for people to understand there's like nothing preventing women to join a career in technology besides the culture that we have that from a very, very young age tells girls that they should do A, B, and C, and tells boys that they should do X, Y, and Z. And I think, and this starts like very, very early on when the kids are like 2 or 3 years old, and we start telling them what they are capable of doing and what they are not capable of doing. And I think that's something that we need to change. There was someone here saying that teachers can have an important role, and it's true. This is like teachers can have a very important role, showing that girls and boys can do whatever they want, and the parents they also have a role to play here of showing that boys and girls can do whatever they want. And I think sometimes because when it's culture, it's so difficult to grasp and it's so difficult to actually make a difference that most people just like say, "Oh, that's not the problem. Like you can be whatever you want to be." But then you see like every day there are like this what's called like microaggressions where people tell you like as a woman you should not do this, or even as a boy you should, or a man you should not do that. So there's a lot of things here that I think are very important for us to understand that this culture that takes a lot of time to change, but it's possible to change. We just need to take the right steps to do so.
Yeah. Yes. Totally agree.
Something that I try to do when I'm offering a toy to a young kid is to offer something that is not like gender bias. So I think those are the small things that from a young age influence us to have a different mindset.
For sure.
Yeah, totally agree. Yes. Wow. My brain is like exploding with joy of this conversation. Okay, so I'm going to ask something to wrap up this conversation and ask you, each one of you, for your opinion, so we can open for Q&A. If you were to speak to a classroom with young girls, what would you say to inspire them to work in tech? So let's start with Shannon, because I bet it's your.
I was just thinking. I don't know yet. What? What would I say? See, how old?
I'm not talking to a classroom with young girls, right? Yeah. And you want them to inspire. You want to inspire them to work in tech. You can say whatever.
Yeah, I guess, when I was young, and I think I'm still like this, I just wanted to do things that were fun. And I also, had a lot of academic insecurity, learning disabilities. And so I also was coupled with like insecurity. I found a lot of things not fun, so I think I would just want to express to them how much fun, and how capable they are and how much fun these different, jobs can be. But I don't know how I would convey that in a way that's believable. But yeah, I think that would be the overall message, is that it's fun. But that's like to little Shannon. I don't know how other young girls would feel.
That's great, little.
Maybe they want to make a lot of money. Maybe.
Well, but maybe that's good as well.
I just want to have fun. So
in Portugal, tech people make a lot of money. So in the world, so. That's a valid take on that as well. If you want to make something, if you want to have fun and make a lot of money, like tech.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Okay, so what about you, Inês?
For me, it would be easy. So I would bring every one of you with me, and you would be able to share your stories with because I think
very smart.
It's about storytelling in the end. It's about like showing that we have here like a number of women. Completely different stories, completely different backgrounds, completely different experiences, but they are all in technology and they are all loving working technology. And I think that's the story that we need to tell. It's not a story about like one specific kind of person that goes into technology. It's about like you can be whatever you want and use technology as something that you like, and build technology as your in your day. And I think that's exactly what's missing, because sometimes I do this exercise when I ask people, like, close your eyes and think about a software developer, and most of the times they think about the guy in the hoodie, as I mentioned before, and that's not true, and it was never true, and it's definitely not true today. But somehow this is the ideas that we have in our mind, and we need to change that, and we need to show that there's like all kinds of women and also men working technology, doing different roles, playing different roles in the software development process or whatever they are doing. And I think this is the stories that we need to tell, and that's the stories that are missing, and that's the stories that unfortunately are not reaching kids that are now deciding what they should do.
Yeah, for sure, Ines. Well, I'm opening the
Can
floor
I just
for
add
you.
one
Yes,
thing?
of
I'm
course.
sorry. I agree totally what both Shannon and Ines said, but I would like also to add that yes, we have the idea of software developer, but we have so many things that we can do in technology, and technology can be applied to so many different parts of our life, whether it's the sustainability or it's finance or it's medical or it's whatever. So I think that it's important also to show that you don't have to code specifically. You can be a project manager, you can be an HR, you can be, I don't know, a tester perhaps.
Yeah.
So you have a wide choice, and both in the industry that you are working and in the role that you are playing in the technology. And then technology, if you look at it, it's almost everywhere. So it can be cool and it can be exciting. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it can also deliver a lot of impact, right? So it's exactly what Lena was saying, but yeah, I find that also very powerful.
They say that kids are nowadays care a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Just like dare to dream impossible. No limitation.
Yeah.
Very true. Wow. Okay, so do we have some questions in the chat? It's popping. Wow, we have a lot of things. Oh my God. Okay, so
I think some of them we already answered, others.
yes. Okay, so I'm going to read them out loud and see if we already answered them. So we have one from Caetano. What made Wendy choose to major in computer science if you didn't pursue that career after all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to answer, Wendy?
Yeah, it's actually from Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Long time ago.
Yeah, but it's also from Caetano in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I quickly answer this question.
Do you want to answer, Michael? Okay. What would be interested to hear if Wendy also shared her opinion regarding the lack of cultural barrier for tech? How does it go in China currently? Okay.
Yeah, good question. I will answer one by one. The first thing, to be honest, when I choose my majority in computer science and also mathematics, I don't know whether I like it. This is the truth. The time I was just 18 years old, I just picked some very hot subjects or majorities that I can apply, and I got it. And later on, I figured out that maybe I can got a very good score and also have some scholarship, so that made me insist. But later on, I figured out that I'm not so interested into coding, because compared with a lot of other classmates, when they coding, they really have something shining in their eyes, but I don't have. This is good for me, but I don't want to give up this kind of learning. So I try to find some bridge between my learning and also the job opportunity in society. That's the reason I choose something in between, like consultant, like product manager. This is a story behind. So back to the first question, no matter we know whether we have passion in technology, at least we should have a try. And if we have a try, we can get to know ourselves better and find the very good solution for us. Yeah. And
regarding the cultural barrier for tech?
I would say definitely they have a lot of difference between different cultures. For example, I know German colleagues very well, and also for Chinese colleagues, they are totally different mindset or culture when dealing with some like argument. For example, if I have some conflict with German colleagues, maybe I will directly find a very good timing. For example, Friday afternoon coffee time, and say, "Oh, I really don't agree with your approach." I would say it's totally wrong. Do you accept it? If you don't accept it, I will treat you for one. Such kind of things. I just take a little bit joke and find a very good timing to discuss with them. I think people are more open-minded to accept it. But back to China culture, I would say people are really hardworking, very serious in working time. So, but not all the people act like this way. But considering this kind of cultural differentiation, I would say first be really polite. Try to understand others first. Because if I always say this demand, you should realize it in 3 days. I don't know whether you can achieve that. I don't care. This is my result. I need to achieve. People will not agree on it, and we will never bring to the result. So back to the Chinese culture, I would say polite first important thing, and try to think about others, and then try to come to the agreement in Chinese culture. Yeah.
Okay, very, very nice. So we have another question here that is from Sarah from Obey. Did any of you ever felt a bias in recruitment process due to your gender, and how did you manage the situation? So Margarida said she never felt it, but in working in the companies that she worked in before. But Sarah is especially mentioning the recruitment process. Did you ever felt biased during the recruitment process?
Maybe I can answer. I haven't felt bias myself, but I've heard a lot of stories of women that got asked questions during the recruitment process because they were women, and these were not necessarily like about, because usually people think about like pregnancy and things like this. This was not the case. This was about like, so when you were a student, were you the one doing the report but not the project, or you also engaged in the project? So basically, these preconceived ideas that for some reason women are actively engaged in the development of the projects or whatever, and basically questions about like the way they were dressed, questions about like their lifestyle and so on, things that no one would ever ask a man, and they got asked this question. And this happened like 2-3 years ago, last year. So this is not something that happened 10 years ago and now I'm reporting. No, this is things that happened to people that left school in the past few years, and these things are still happening. So I think, and there is actually another thing that I've read extensively about, that usually men are recruited based on their potential and women are recruited based on their experience, which means that in the moment of recruitment, there's a lot of basically there's very different criteria when choosing one or the other, and especially if you are in competition with one or the other. And this is very unconscious, so people don't do this necessarily on purpose, but the way they approach this recruitment process, sometimes this is what happens. So that's why I'm very much I support very much unconscious bias training, because we all have them, but especially when you are in a recruitment position or in a leadership position, you need to train yourself to understand that sometimes your behavior towards men, women, or there are other unconscious bias that is not related to gender, has to do with this bias that you have inside you. Okay. And if you recognize that bias, then you can do something about it.
Yeah, for sure. And we are actually going to do the recruitment bias training in our company, right, by the way. Okay, so I was just to final question, because we don't have any more questions here in the chat, and I passed one question that for me is of extreme importance, and I was discussing this And looking in the statistics, we see that, because you were just mentioning this, Ines, and I remembered, we see that a lot of women value stability in their job, but also most women working in tech are single with no dependents. So do you think that women enjoy the same work-life harmony as men do? Not in tech, but in general.
And that's a question for me.
So this is a question this is a question for Shannon, but I bet you want to say something about this.
Because I don't think that I was the one mentioning that, but so okay. Okay.
Go for it.
No, go ahead.
No, it was for you, Shannon.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know. I was telling, it's not very formally announced, but I'm pregnant, and I don't know. I think up until now, I haven't been that concerned about work-life balance. I mean, I like to have work-life balance, but it doesn't create anxiety for me. But I do think the idea of having a child, it is more demanding on the woman, at least in the first year, And so, what was the question? I don't know. This makes my mind swim, because I do think that, in the end, we have to face the facts that, mothers naturally, biologically, have more of a burden. And I think in any company, not just tech companies, it needs to be, we need to adjust our expectations and also value that's, a part of our lives. I don't have clear thoughts, but that has kept me up at night as of recent, thinking about how I'm going to do it all, because, in the end, I don't think we can have it all, despite what Sheryl Sandberg says.
Yes, and especially I watched Netflix Explained this week that talked exactly about that. So why there's a gender bias
or pay
career
gap.
progression, and the pay gap in salary.
Yeah.
And it's they relate it especially to the fact that women have kids and they have to dedicate their hours to take care of them, and men also have kids, but they don't take care of them as much as women nowadays. Although there has been some changes, and some countries have made the changes legal, which made the pay gap less visible. There's still so many things that we could do, right?
Yeah.
So if we think about progressing in our careers, and now that we are in our 30s, I am in my 30s as well, Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a priority for me. But if I was thinking 2 years ago, I would be considering, like, can I do it if I want to progress in my career right now, or maybe I cannot, right? We shouldn't think about this, because I'm sure men don't think about this as much as we do, right?
Yeah, and I think, but I also, and this is something for those of us women that have the opportunity and the pleasure of being able to hire, really, really try. There's a new opportunity that I'm possibly applying for at the end of this year, and it made me nervous. I've had it happened twice now. I was nervous about telling them I'm pregnant. And I felt guilty. How do I already feel guilty? I'm like, I felt guilty I was pregnant. Like, already guilty about the time I will have to take off, and I want to take off. So it's just, there's a lot there. But I do think, hiring women, and especially women who are, in their family planning mode. And I think it's important to create space for that and create a culture where that's acceptable. And there are systems and processes in place that support it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm even struggling with that, and I'm the one pregnant, so it's not easy.
Yeah. So if you want to say final thoughts, it's your time.
I want to share a book. So can you hear it? Like Invisible Woman. This is a book we launched at Portuguese Women Tech. We launched a book club, and this was the first book that we read, and it's actually very interesting. It's about a lot of like the gender data, the gender data gap. Yeah. And so basically, I really recommend this book because it really shows exactly the kind of world that we live in and how much. Basically, a lot of like the way the world is structured, the workplace is structured, is designed by men for men, and not necessarily taking into consideration some of the things that Shannon was mentioning around motherhood and other things. So, yeah, I think if you go to our website, we have other books that we are also reading, and I honestly recommend all of them because they are really, really great books. But this one especially because it's very data driven and really gives you a good idea about like how the world we live in is not necessarily designed for women and for the success of women.
Great. Also receiving some thumbs up for this recommendation, Ines, here in the chat. Great. I would like to thank you very much for your contributions. This was great. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you, Ines, for being part of this together with us with tb.lx. Thank you for the speakers, lovely contributions, for trusting us and putting yourself out there and talking from the heart. Thank you so much. And I hope we can talk again soon and we can collaborate in the future. So, yeah.
Thank you for organizing it and also for the honor
thank you very much.
Have such amazing speakers together.
Thank you
so much for the kind of opportunity to linkage Portugal with Germany women together. So just add one last point from my side, because nowadays I'm doing EMBA in TOM, and we have some startup programs regarding to women, especially women in tech. So I hope in the future maybe we have some sustainability opportunity to see each other and to build something very interesting together.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.